Board. Today is the 9th of June, 2025. We do have one public hearing. Before we start the public hearing, could we start the meeting with the pledge? Okay, let's see. Jerry, why don't you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Patrick Halpin.
Present.
Julianne Nolan. Gerald O'Neill. Edward Wynn.
Present.
Juan Leon.
Present.
Frank Santos. Yumiko Healy.
Present.
Greg Gaxiola. Matt Esposito. Rich Casey.
Do we have a quorum?
Yes, you do.
We do have a quorum. Okay. Before we start the public hearing, I'm required to read this statement into the record. The Planning Board shall have the right to rely on any information that is presented by the applicant. If any such information is later found to be inaccurate or incorrect, the Planning Board may determine that any approvals, building permits, or other actions previously granted in connection with the application are null and void.
Okay, public hearing, site plan review, minor subdivision, job 2417AB, Oak Street Realty, Inc. Purposes to maintain an existing two-story mixed-use building, as well as a single-family home as part of a subdivision of 4 lots into 2, along with associated site improvements.
Okay, Ms. Blanda, could you state your name and address for the record?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Nicole Blanda. I'm an attorney at Bazell, Blanda, and Visconti with offices at 535 Broad Hollow Road in Melville.
Okay, before you get started with your presentation, the Planning Commissioner, Denise Graziano, did issue a memorandum regarding this application dated the 3rd of June, 2025. Have you had the opportunity to review this with your client, and are there any issues, any concerns, anything that you would like to bring to our attention regarding any of the conditions, covenants, and restrictions, or any other part of the memorandum?
Yes, we've reviewed it. No concerns, no comments. We do consent to the covenants and the conditions.
Okay, please proceed.
I'm here tonight on behalf of the property owner, Oak Street Realty, Inc., which purchased this property about 5 years ago, seeking subdivision approval to basically realign 4 tax lots into 2, maintain an existing mixed-use building and a single-family dwelling, along with associated site improvements. The commercial property that's a part of this application is known as 1036-1048 Little East Neck Road in West Babylon. It does have 3 street frontages, one on 10th Street, one on Little East Neck Road, and one on 9th Street. The property has been in this configuration for quite some time. The existing building has COs that date back to the 1960s. The second property that is part of this subdivision is located on 9th Street, and it's known as 1574 9th Street, where they have a single-family 2-story dwelling. That parcel is also zoned Business E, with a portion of it being zoned Residence C. So there's 4 tax lots involved, as you can see on the aerial with the red striping. If approved, there will be 2 lots created. So one will have the mixed-use building, and one will have the single-family dwelling. As I said, the mixed-use building has existed and has COs dating back to the 1960s. The property was owned over the years by Joseph Zito until 2020, when it was sold to my client. Over the years, the Zito family also owned the dwelling that's at 1574 9th Street and began using a portion of it as part of its parking lot in the rear of the shopping center. So basically, once my client took over the property and did some facade improvements to the existing building, he was asked to come in and legalize the subdivision that had occurred years ago when the prior property owner owned all of the lots together and was basically kind of utilizing them. So this application seeks to legalize the 22 by 100 foot, basically 2,200 square foot area that is technically part of Lot 1, where the dwelling is, and we're going to subdivide it off so that it is now part of the mixed-use commercial building. So this 2,200 square foot area that you could see on the survey, it has like the cross hatching, that will be used for parking for the commercial site, and it will bring Lot 2's lot area up to 24,414 square feet. Lot 1 will have 7,800 square feet, and it will be a compliant lot with the dwelling. Another owner now owns that lot. There is a family living there, so they are going to sell the 22 by 100 piece to my client so that it is no longer an easement or being used however it's been used, and now it will be fully encompassed by the commercial property. As part of this subdivision application, there will be many site plan improvements for the existing commercial site, such as new concrete sidewalks, new concrete walkways, updated ADA-compliant ramps, new landscaping, and then new asphalt and the striped parking area. There will also be a new flow to the site so that there'll be a do not enter sign at 10th Street, so that traffic will be one way going out onto 10th Street, and then the apron on 9th Street will be widened so that it can better accommodate the two-way traffic. The entire site, the entire building facade was upgraded within the last 2 years. If you've driven by it, you can tell that it is new. It is very attractive. This has gone through extensive departmental review, and I believe all comments have been satisfied, except that there's just a question in the building department regarding some dimensions to make sure that our variance relief that we have to request is accurate. It does need a parking variance to basically legalize, I guess, what's been there for over 60 years. So there are 6 retail spaces on the first floor, and they vary between, there's a bakery, you might know Villa Bella Bakery in West Babylon is there, there's a laundromat, there is a single attorney using one of the spaces, there's a florist, and then there's 8 apartments above. And those apartments have COs and have been there for quite some time. The parking variance that we will be requesting, there are 65 spaces required for the overall site. The site actually has 18. IMEG is the town's traffic safety consultant on this site. They did review it, and they have no objection to the parking variance that we're seeking. They feel that the site has worked all these years, and they also noted that several things. One, that there is on-street parking. So overall, between 10th Street, Little East Neck Road, and 9th Street, you have about 13 spaces for on-street parking. The second thing that they noted in their study was that there's sort of a shared parking situation going on here because of the uses. The commercial uses are there during the day, and then the tenants, for the most part, would park there at night because presumably they go to work during the day. So the site isn't always being fully parked for every use that's there. So based on that and the trip generation that they reviewed, they don't feel that we should have an issue with parking on the site, and obviously that's the presentation that I'll be making to the Zoning Board of Appeals. But for tonight's hearing, we're basically here for the subdivision. We want to legalize what had been done previously with that 22 by 100 foot piece. It will keep the residential piece. That lot 1 will remain compliant with zoning, and then for the commercial site, we'll have the additional parking. And we think it'll all just function much better. And they consent to the covenants. There is a covenant in here regarding parking, that if there is spillover or issues in the future, that we could be cited and brought back to the planning board. The applicant is aware of that. But he's had the site now for 5 years. There's been no complaints. There's no open violations. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to answer it. And we also have Harold Gebhardt with us here tonight, he's the architect on the application.
Okay, Frank?
Traffic flow. You said it was going to be one way out to the right of the screen, but going the other way, it'll be two-way?
On 9th Street, it'll still remain two-way. On 10th Street, you can go out, but they're putting a do not enter.
And what was it previously?
Previously, I believe it was kind of anything goes. Yeah, I think people just kind of made their way through. Yeah.
questions?
No, that was my question. Yeah, I went in on,
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
I came in on 10th Street.
Yeah, the do not enter sign is a suggestion from traffic safety.
Okay, counsel, did you have a?
Yeah, I have a question. Ms. Blanda, can you tell us what the zoning of the existing parking area that's to be transferred is?
Business E.
Okay, so that will need you need an overall parking variance, which you already went over. What else do you need to use the property as transferred for parking? Do you need any kind of a business exception or anything additional?
No, because once the parking is merged with our lots, which it will be based on the approval for the site plan and the covenants, it's all one big parcel. So it's zone business E, parking's permitted, and the parking is in conjunction with the mixed-use building.
So it'll all be E?
Yes,
Okay, great, thank you.
yes.
Okay. Can we get back to this parking issue? So,
Sure.
again, they're short how many spaces?
48,
Excuse me?
I believe, 45? We're required to have 65, we have 18.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard and read. So give me an idea as to how they arrive at that number. How many parking spaces, for example, are required for the tenants?
So two per apartment.
And we
So that's
have-
16 right there.
Okay, so that's 16 right there.
And then you want me to go through each
Yeah,
unit?
Yes, if you don't mind.
So the convenience store.
Okay, here I am, I'm looking at it on our.
Yeah.
Go ahead, so why don't you walk through it for us so we all understand and hear it?
So the convenience store is 3,112 square feet at 1 per 200. We have 15.6 parking spaces needed.
So the convenience store is the former Zito Market,
I believe so,
or
yes.
deli or whatever it was back in the day? Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yeah. Then there's a small office being used for an attorney. So that office space requires 5.9, so it gets rounded up to 6 spaces. The laundromat is considered personal service. That requires 6.8 spaces, gets rounded up to 7. And then you have the bakery. The bakery gets broken down a little bit differently. It's 1 space for every 2 seats. That's 4 spaces. And then they want 1 space for every 2 employees. That's 2 spaces. So that means 6 spaces for the bakery. The salon requires 6 spaces, and the florist requires 8 spaces.
So where are all these folks parking?
I've driven past a few times. I mean, I've been to that bakery. It's a very good bakery. She gets busy at the holidays, but people park, they kind of come and go. So they either park in the lot or they park on the street. So there is some on-street parking across the street. I know that when it was Cameron at the time, and when they did their, I guess, traffic study, or they looked at the trip generation, interestingly, they didn't ask for a traffic study, and they seemed to feel that the parking was functioning fine based on when they went there and observed how full the lot was on any given day and time.
So are the number of spaces that are they the same as what they currently are? Can the council answer the question, since it's for the record? Thank you, Mr. Gibb.
You're asking me if the spaces are the same as what they were previously?
Yes.
Yes, but I think that there's also the way it's being configured with this new space, with the 22 by 100, it's adding we might have gained a couple of spaces there just because of how it was configured.
Okay, thank you.
But it is true, Ms. Blanda, that you're kind of legalizing an existing situation, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, having gone to West Babylon High School and lived in the area in West Babylon and very familiar with Little East Neck Road, and over the years when I was an elected official and knocked on a lot of doors there, I'm very familiar with that. In fact, I drove by it recently and was very impressed with the quality of the improvements.
Thank you.
Please.
Ms. Blanda, the apartment sizes, how many 1-bedroom, 2 bedrooms?
I believe they're all 1 bedroom. Yeah.
One. And do you mind showing the path, please, for deliveries and for loading? And then also the path for trash pickup, please?
So the refuse enclosure, which I believe is also going to be a new addition, I think it used to be in a prior, like a different location, but it's more conveniently located on 9th Street now. So it can be picked up, I guess it could be sort of rolled out or however they'll do their maneuver, but it is along the street. I was actually there earlier today and there was a garbage truck going down 9th Street. But so the refuse enclosure would front on 9th Street. As far as any deliveries or things of that nature, I think there's not going to be tractor trailers or anything like that. The uses that are here don't require large trucks or things of that nature. I would imagine that if the bakery is taking deliveries or the florist, they're either coming in the back off of 10th or 9th and they're, using the back entrances, or perhaps it could happen that they're actually unloading, in the shoulder or where there's parking on street. But currently, the way we were legalizing things, there's no loading zone per se, if that's what you're asking.
Thank you.
Jerry?
What is the cell tower equipment a reference to? I didn't see a cell tower there.
There was a ZBA approval, I think from 2008, that apparently there was some equipment put up in, I think Mr. Esposito was showing it, where there's like a grate also over some of the equipment.
Yeah.
In that area. I'm not really aware of if it's still there or if it's currently active, but there was a prior approval for it.
So are cell antennas on the building?
I'm not certain. I'd have to ask about that, yeah.
It may be to accommodate any antennas. Okay. Any other questions? No?
I'm sorry, one more question. Go back to the photograph. This looks like a storage. Is that a storage container there on the map right there?
In that easement area.
That corner? Is that no? That's okay. That's Lowell.
Oh, on the aerial, that was,
That's a cell tower.
That's the cell tower. Okay, thank you.
One of the other photos did look like where this
Storage
back
container.
car is. It looked like a storage container. If Matt can go back. The overhead one.
The one at the north end.
Yep, right back in here. If you could move that around a little bit, Matt.
There you go.
Right there you go, in the back corner.
yeah, we're not, that's going to, if it's still there, it'll be removed. That's not, I don't think it's there anymore. Yeah, there's the current, yeah, because it'll be for parking, yeah.
Yeah, Matt, this, what we're looking at now, is that a simulation or is it the current? Okay, so that's within
Right.
the last month or so. All right.
Thank you.
Good, that's very helpful, thank you. Any other questions? No, thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the board? Mr. Gephardt, are you here on behalf of this applicant? I am, sir. Do you want to speak? No, sir. Okay. You know what? This is why you're good at what you do.
Would you like him to speak?
Pardon me?
Would you like him to
Do
speak?
any of the board members have any questions for Mr. Gephardt? I know I don't. Who did all the work on the facades?
Mr. Gebhardt.
At least he'd get up and take some credit for it. No, it's okay. It's okay. All right, no, that's all good. It is a big improvement. You should be happy with that. I'm sure the folks in the adjacent areas are pleased with what they see on that part of the road. Okay, any other questions? No? Hearing, is there anyone from the public that would like to address the board? There is no one here from the public, so therefore there is no one else who would like to address the board. So, that said, I need a motion from the board to close the public hearing and to reserve decision. Let's see. Who asked the most questions? I'll make the motion. No, Frank, you asked the question. Motion by Frank. Okay, second by Juan. Second. All in favor? Aye. Approved. The public hearing has now been closed. The decision has been reserved. In order for us to review any feedback or any questions that have come up this evening, and any open site plan issues. The record will remain open for written comments. To follow up on the status of the application or to submit additional written comments, you can contact the planning department in a number of different ways, in person. Planning is located on the west wing of Town Hall. Application documents, plans are available for inspection between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. or by phone, 631-957-3103, or by email, planning comments, one word, planning comments at townofbabylon.ny.gov. Okay. Thank you very much.